there, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a kind of more practical, helpful video. A lot of my projects are kind of at like stalled out points, and so I had this idea and I thought it would be really great to do a video on it, so that's what we're doing. So as you can tell from the title, this video is going to be some tips on how to simplify a to-do list, how to make your to-do list work for you, especially in the context of ADHD. And I find that to-do lists are both essential and difficult. So I have some ways, 3 different tips, 3 different steps to making sure that your to-do list or your checklist is working for you and not becoming something that's overwhelming and making you kind of shut down. Number 1 is that when I say to-do list or checklist, I actually mean lists plural. Here's what I mean by that. For me, I have so much mental clutter that sometimes I can feel paralyzed when I know that I have things that I need to get done, but there's so much going on in my head that I just can't like quiet my thoughts, sort out the actual things ahead of me, and just start knocking tasks out, right? So what I want to do in that case is just to do a big giant brain dump and make this checklist that always ends up being super, super long and just overwhelming and unrealistic. So because we're dealing with ADHD, at least in my case, dopamine and momentum are our friends. So with a to-do list, if you have a giant list of tasks and realistically that is too many things to get done in the allotted time, that is not going to make you feel accomplished, make you feel successful, give you that dopamine hit, give you that momentum. It's just going to feel like you failed. So what I will do is I will have 2 lists going. You can do them one at a time, or you can kind of have them going at the same time, and when something comes to mind to write down, you just determine which list it belongs on. So let me explain lists. One of them is going to be a brain dump, but this is not a checklist. This is not a to-do list. You are not responsible to this list. This is not a list that you are assessing your worth by. It is literally just for the purpose of dumping everything out of your brain to quiet your mind and be able to sort through your thoughts. So the other list is your actual to-do list or your checklist. And on that one, you might just have a handful of things. So you might just take everything on your brain dump, look at it, say, what are the 3 to 5 things that absolutely have to happen today? If they're bigger things or more daunting things, maybe make it 3. If they're a little more manageable or things that you're kind of in the habit of doing routinely and they are really not things that get you kind of mentally tied up over them, maybe it could be closer to 5. So when you have your to-do list and you have your brain dump list, you can use them for 2 different purposes. One, actually, you are responsible for getting those things done. The other one is just for recording purposes, just for brain organizing purposes. One more note on the 2 lists is that sometimes it can become 3, which it sort of might sound weird, but 3 less scary lists are actually much more effective oftentimes than 1 big giant list that isn't realistic. So the third one I'm talking about is if on your task list, your shorter list, there is something on there that is like a bigger task or maybe more daunting or more overwhelming to think about completing, then your sub list for that task would be a list of steps that you have to take to get through that task. And the more overwhelmed you are by the thought of having to complete this task, the more detail or small you want each step to be. So for me, sometimes it's like filming a video. So I literally have to be like, plug in the fairy lights, like these, whatever you call them, the string lights. So that sometimes is like one of my steps, because if I'm feeling so overwhelmed by the idea that day, then I will just break it down into really, really small steps. That way, when you complete something like literally picking up a plug and sticking it in the wall, you can cross something off your list. You get a tiny little dopamine hit, you get that momentum, and you're still moving forward onto the next thing. Sometimes my first step on one of my task list items is write out the steps for this item, because that will help me to feel successful when I complete it and I can cross it off, and that helps me with momentum, helps me to keep going and to get everything done. Step 2 is audit your task list to be realistic according to the time frame that you have to work in. So like I said before, if you have like 1 day's time to complete these things in, then take a look at your list and make sure, can I get each one of these done in this time frame? And also, can I get all of these done in this time frame? The whole point is that you want to have something that will give you that little feeling of success, because oftentimes, like, maybe you could have that list totally done and then move on to even more things that day. And that's much easier to do if you have those little successes and that momentum to go on. And step 3 is repeat. So once you have your task list done, you can have that sense of accomplishment and success, refer back to your brain dump list, and then do the whole thing over again. So say, you know, I've made it to 2 o'clock and all of the things on my small task list are done. I will go back to my brain dump list, and having already done the things that are urgent that day and have to get done that day, then it sort of feels like you're doing like extra credit. Like, oh, I did the absolute mission critical things. Now I'm just doing things that are gonna like set me up better for tomorrow or help me have a better evening or whatever it may be. So you look at your brain dump list, you pick a handful of things depending on the task to put on a new task list. Maybe that list is shorter because maybe you don't have a full day left to complete them, but you make your new task list, you do the same exact thing, breaking those into steps if you need to, and crossing off each task one by one. And you can do this until you run out of time or you run out of checklist items, or whichever one happens first. But the point is that all along the way, you're getting little successes and you're feeling good about what you're doing, rather than feeling like you'll never catch up or trying to accomplish this huge long brain dump list is impossible. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it's helpful for you. Let me know down in the comments below what you think of it, and if maybe it helped you to see daily task lists in a little bit of a different way. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.